Let me begin this way. What message does the president hope to send with his trip to Alaska?
Well, the president will be heading out today with a very simple message, which is that climate change is real, it's being caused by human activity, and that we have a national and an international responsibility to address it. But at the same time, because of the ingenuity and innovation of the American economy, we have an incredible economic opportunity as well, so that we can address this issue in a way that's good for our businesses, good for American families. And he'll talk about both the need to act and the opportunities that we have here as well.
I'm sure there are Alaskans who share the president's concern for climate change, but most Alaskans see a need to balance the president's concerns and his legacy with their very real economic challenges. Many, including Senator Lisa Murkowski, say that not enough, the president doesn't recognize the vulnerability of the Trans-Alaskan pipeline system. Only 1/3 of this pipeline is full, and it may cease operations if more oil isn't pumped through. It doesn't seem to be one of the president's priorities.
Well, I think one of the interesting things about Alaska is that climate change is, for people who live in Alaska, not an issue of the future, it's a now issue. Whether it is the increased incidence of wildfires that's affecting communities and tourism, or it's receding glaciers and increased sea levels actually eroding the land that Alaskan natives have lived on for thousands of years. And so Alaskans are learning how to address and adapt to these issues in real time. And the president will be up there principally to learn from them, to hear about their stories, to understand what they're going through, and to talk about practical solutions, being it making these communities more resilient to the impacts of climate change, or bringing more stable and sustainable renewable energy to communities that right now have to rely on both expensive and unstable sources of energy to power their homes and businesses. So there's a lot of opportunity. The president's looking forward to hearing directly from Alaskans about how the climate issue is affecting their lives and what we can do about it together.
Brian, away from Alaska, but sticking with energy issues, will there be a decision this year on the Keystone Pipeline?
Well, as you know, that's an issue that is currently at the State Department, and I will defer to them on the timing of the process. But more broadly, I think what you've seen from this president is a call for larger action, both to address climate change, and you'll hear him today make a strong call for not only national action, but international action to get a global climate deal, but also bigger action with respect to our infrastructure. We have myriad infrastructure needs in this country, and the president has been advocating for some time for a much more aggressive and visionary infrastructure program that would put people back to work here in the United States, but also make our economy more resilient, more efficient, and frankly more sustainable over the long term.
And Brian, a question for you about oil exports. Alaska is the only state in the union currently allowed to export crude oil, although there's been some flexibility most recently concerning oil exports, or at least a swap, if you will, between the United States and Mexico, light crude for heavy crude. Where else, where might the administration go with the question of oil exports? Because there is so much momentum in Congress that the restrictions on oil exports be relaxed.
Well, as you know, the Commerce Department manages the policy around oil exports, and as you mentioned recently, the Commerce Department took action with respect to swaps of Mexican crude. Beyond that, the policy of the administration has been pretty well articulated by the Commerce Department, and it is what it is. That said, given changes in energy markets and oil markets, that's something that we are constantly looking at and assessing as time goes forward. So for the time being, our policy is what it is, and we'll continue to assess as we go forward.
All right, Brian, we thank you very much for spending time with us. The president is headed to Alaska. That is White House Senior Advisor on Energy and Climate, Brian Deese, with us.